the United States military began major combat operations in Iran. Our objective is to defend the American people by eliminating imminent threats from the Iranian regime, a vicious group of very hard, terrible people. Its menacing activities directly endanger the United States, our troops, our bases overseas, and our allies throughout the world. For 47 years, the Iranian regime has chanted death to America and waged an unending campaign of bloodshed and mass murder, targeting the United States, our troops, and the innocent people in many, many countries. Among the regime's very first acts was to back a violent takeover of the U.S. Embassy in Tehran, holding dozens of American hostages for 444 days. In 1983, Iran's proxies carried out the Marine barracks bombing in Beirut that killed 241 American military personnel. In 2000, they knew and were probably involved with the attack on the USS Cole. Many died. Iranian forces killed and maimed hundreds of American service members in Iraq. The regime's proxies have continued to launch countless attacks against American forces stationed in the Middle East in recent years, as well as U.S. naval and commercial vessels in international shipping lanes. It's been mass terror, and we're not going to put up with it any longer. From Lebanon to Yemen and Syria to Iraq, the regime has armed, trained, and funded terrorist militias that have soaked the earth with blood and guts. And it was Iran's proxy, Hamas, that launched the monstrous October 7th attacks on Israel, slaughtering more than 1,000 innocent people, including 46 Americans, while taking 12 of our citizens hostage. It was brutal, something like the world has never seen before. Iran is the world's #1 state sponsor of terror and just recently killed tens of thousands of its own citizens on the street as they protested. It has always been the policy of the United States, in particular, my administration, that this terrorist regime can never have a nuclear weapon. I'll say it again. They can never have a nuclear weapon. That is why in Operation Midnight Hammer last June, we obliterated the regime's nuclear program at Fordow, Natanz, and Isfahan. After that attack, we warned them never to resume their malicious pursuit of nuclear weapons, and we sought repeatedly to make a deal. We tried. They wanted to do it. They didn't want to do it. Again, they wanted to do it. They didn't want to do it. They didn't know what was happening. They just wanted to practice evil. But Iran refused, just as it has for decades and decades. They've rejected every opportunity to renounce their nuclear ambitions, and we can't take it anymore. Instead, they attempted to rebuild their nuclear program and to continue developing long-range missiles that can now threaten our very good friends and allies in Europe, our troops stationed overseas, and could soon reach the American homeland. Just imagine how emboldened this regime would be if they ever had and actually were armed with nuclear weapons as a means to deliver their message. For these reasons, the United States military is undertaking a massive and ongoing operation to prevent this very wicked, radical dictatorship from threatening America and our core national security interests. We are going to destroy their missiles and raise their missile industry to the ground. It will be totally, again, obliterated. We're going to annihilate their Navy. We're going to ensure that the region's terrorist proxies can no longer destabilize the region or the world and attack our forces and no longer use their IEDs or roadside bombs, as they are sometimes called, to so gravely wound and kill thousands and thousands of people, including many Americans. And we will ensure that Iran does not obtain a nuclear weapon. It's a very simple message. They will never have a nuclear weapon. This regime will soon learn that no one should challenge the strength and might of the United States Armed Forces. I built and rebuilt our military in my first administration, and there is no military on earth even close to its power, strength, or sophistication. My administration has taken every possible step to minimize the risk to U.S. personnel in the region. Even so, and I do not make this statement lightly, the Iranian regime seeks to kill. The lives of courageous American heroes may be lost, and we may have casualties. That often happens in war. But we're doing this not for now. We're doing this for the future, and it is a noble mission. We pray for every service member as they selflessly risk their lives to ensure that Americans and our children will never be threatened by a nuclear-armed Iran. We ask God to protect all of our heroes in harm's way, and we trust that, with his help, the men and women of the armed forces will prevail. We have the greatest in the world, and they will prevail. To the members of the Islamic Revolutionary Guard, the armed forces, and all of the police, I say tonight that you must lay down your weapons and have complete immunity, or, in the alternative, face certain death. So, lay down your arms. You will be treated fairly with total immunity, or you will face certain death. Finally, to the great, proud people of Iran, I say tonight that the hour of your freedom is at hand. Stay sheltered. Don't leave your home. It's very dangerous outside. Bombs will be dropping everywhere. When we are finished, take over your government. It will be yours to take. This will be probably your only chance for generations. For many years, you have asked for America's help, but you never got it. No president was willing to do what I am willing to do tonight. Now you have a president who is giving you what you want. So let's see how you respond. America is backing you with overwhelming strength and devastating force. Now is the time to seize control of your destiny and to unleash the prosperous and glorious future that is close within your reach. This is the moment for action. Do not let it pass. May God bless the brave men and women of America's armed forces. May God bless the United States of America. May God bless you all. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. We are interrupting the game for just a moment here because there is major breaking news at this hour. ABC News has just learned that Iran's supreme leader, the Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, is believed to have been killed in the attack in Iran. President Trump just moments ago confirming the news in a social media post. Killed in that attack led by U.S. and Israeli forces. The 86-year-old cleric had served as supreme leader since 1989, more than 30 years. The U.S. and Israel say they targeted Khamenei and the rest of Iran's top leadership in massive strikes that began early this morning. Israel saying just hours ago that it would continue to target the regime until it has been eliminated. Our Rachel Scott asking the president in a phone conversation late today how long this would last. He said that the outcome, the timeline of this could depend on when the U.S. confirmed that the supreme leader was in fact dead. Also, Rachel asking the president who will lead Iran next. President Trump telling Rachel that he did not want to explain, but that we have a beautiful plan. I want to get right to our chief White House correspondent, Mary Bruce, live at the White House tonight. Mary, what have you learned?
David, the president announcing Khamenei's death in a lengthy social media post just now. I want to read to you what the president is saying. He says, Khamenei, one of the most evil people in history, is dead. This is not only justice for the people of Iran, but for all great Americans and those people from many countries throughout the world that have been killed or mutilated by Khamenei and his gang of bloodthirsty thugs. He was unable to avoid our intelligence and highly sophisticated tracking systems, and working closely with with Israel. There was not a thing he or the other leaders that have been killed along with him could do. The president goes on, David, to repeat the claims that we heard him make overnight shortly after this attack for regime change. The president saying this is the single greatest chance for the Iranian people to take back their country. The big question has been, what does that look like? How does the U.S. and how does President Trump envision that playing out? The president says that hopefully the IRGC and police will peacefully merge with the Iranian patriots and work together as a unit to bring back the country to the greatness it deserves. But David, the president concludes this statement by saying that the heavy and pinpoint bombing, however, will continue uninterrupted throughout the week or as long as necessary to achieve our objective of peace throughout the Middle East and indeed the world.
For days and weeks to come, and Mary, once this attack was underway today, the president with a stark warning to the American people about U.S. troops.
Yeah, and David, the president, of course, remember, he has long promised not to drag America into these long, protracted foreign wars. But now the president has warned that American lives may be lost in this fight. We do not know how long this is going to go on, whether this will indeed be a long, protracted, prolonged war. The president making clear for now the attack, the strikes will continue, but there are still so many basic fundamental questions about what comes next and what role the U.S. is going to play in the future of Iran, David.
Again, we're going to get back to this hockey game in just moments here. Mary Bruce live at the White House. Mary, thank you. I want to bring in our chief foreign correspondent, Ian Pannell, from the region tonight. Ian, President Trump moments ago confirming that the supreme leader of Iran is dead.
Yeah, a truly momentous day. If anyone had any doubts what this operation was really about, well, now we know it is regime change. And that has seemed clear pretty much since the first early hours this morning when the president made that pre-recorded address. The attacks have not stopped coming all day from Iran. We're in an air raid shelter at the moment. We're getting air raid alerts about every 10 to 15 minutes. And that's been the case throughout the day, multiple attacks. I think there are a lot of questions now. What comes next inside Iran? Remember, it wasn't just about the supreme leader. It was about an entire edifice that ran the country for almost 50 years since the Islamic Revolution back in 1979. The Israelis are also saying that a significant number of Iran's defense leadership have also been killed in strikes that have taken place today. But there is this enormous security apparatus that has bought in to the regime, the IRGC. The president's talking about them being part of the solution. I think many Iranians, especially those who've given up their lives in recent weeks to call for change, will see the IRGC as part of the problem. Then you have the Basij, this paramilitary force, who are the brutal enforcers out on the streets. You sometimes see them on motorbikes, shooting people at point-blank range, driving into crowds. There is a lot there. There are a lot of people who had a vested interest in the current system, and it won't just be a case of decapitating the leadership and hoping that everything changes. All power, all violent power, in other words, all arms belong in the hands of the regime. The opposition doesn't have any power. But make no mistake, I think for so many Iranians, this is going to be a truly emotional day. This is a day that they've been waiting for so many years, a sign that finally, perhaps, the regime is coming to an end. And wherever this ends up, however many days it takes, the shape of the Middle East will have changed forever. David.
Our chief foreign correspondent, Ian Pannell, coming to us live. That's from an air raid shelter. He's reporting from Israel tonight. Ian, thank you. One more note on this from Rachel Scott, because Rachel spoke with President Trump late today. Rachel, he told you that he was with the generals when you were on the phone with him. You asked if the supreme leader was dead. He said, "We believe he is." He didn't want to confirm at that point on the phone with you, but he must have seen the evidence right there in front of him where he was gathered with the generals and now has confirmed it for the American people.
Yes, David, it was clear that the president was monitoring the situation. He told me flat out that he was surrounded by the generals. He said, "We believe the supreme leader is dead," but he wanted to wait. Now the president giving that confirmation to the American people. David, I also asked the president, why now? Was there an imminent threat to the United States? The president told me he believed, quote, there was a threat. He went on to praise Operation Midnight Hammer that happened months ago. But again, the president had insisted that the nuclear sites were completely obliterated. The president acknowledged acknowledged that, but then he said that Iran was trying to build back. He says that would pose an imminent threat to the United States. And then, of course, I asked him that question, what happens now, David? What exactly happens now? Who takes over Iran? The president said that he didn't want to get into that, but said we, quote, have a very beautiful plan, David.
And of course, that beautiful plan would go up against whatever the regime had planned itself in case this actually happened. Obviously, they knew that the supreme leader could be targeted at some point. That, in fact, played out today with this U.S. and Israeli attack, and whether or not the regime has plans for who they believe should take over next and how this works over these next couple of days and weeks ahead. You asked the president about a timeline. He wasn't comfortable offering a timeline here either.
No timeline on just how long the United States could possibly be involved in this. The president said earlier, speaking to other reporters, that he believes that he has multiple off-ramps here. But, David, what is clear, there is a lot of questions ahead, including the involvement of U.S. troops potentially on the ground, David.
But again, the big news, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, the supreme leader of Iran, is dead in a U.S.-Israeli strike. Our thanks to Rachel Scott, Ian Pannell, the entire team with us here today, Mary Bruce at the White House, our whole team standing by for a special edition of World News Tonight, right after the hockey game tonight. And of course, stepped up security across the United States. We'll get into that reporting tonight as well, and whether or not they believe there is any threat here in the homeland. I'm David Muir here at ABC News in New York. We'll return you now to the game. Our thanks to the team at ESPN, and I'll see you for World News Tonight.
Today, we launched Operation Roaring Lion, an operation against the Iranian terrorist regime in full cooperation with the U.S. Armed Forces. This is an operation against the world's largest sponsor of terror, a regime that for years has called death to Israel, death to America, death to the West. We listened to their words carefully. We watched their actions, and today we acted. We acted because we had to. We launched this operation by seizing an operational opportunity, conducting coordinated strikes against high-level gatherings of senior figures within Iran's military and security leadership. We can now confirm that these senior Iranian regime officials were eliminated by the IDF. Ali Shamkhani, advisor to Khamenei on issues of defense and secretary of the Defense Council. Muhammad Pakpour, commander of the IRGC. Muhammad Shirazi, head of the military bureau of the Iranian supreme leader for almost 40 years. Salah Asadi, the senior intelligence officer of the Supreme Command. Aziz Nasirzadeh, the Iranian defense minister, and others. These and other senior figures will no longer be able to advance their plan, the destruction of Israel. These are terrorists who have blood on their hands, who are directly responsible for the death of thousands by terror. The launch of Operation Roaring Lion comes after months of close and joint planning with the U.S. Armed Forces. A historic, unprecedented level of cooperation between two nations fighting side by side against terror. Our mission could not be more clear. The IDF will continue to act to remove emerging threats against Israel because the price of inaction is too high.
As strikes unfold in the Middle East, Iranian state media broadcast images of what they say is a girls' elementary school that was decimated this weekend. Footage from the scene shows the remnants of children's school bags and books, along with grieving parents. Iranian officials say over 100 students have been killed, with scores more injured and others still buried in the rubble. Saturday is the first day of the school week in Iran. CNN has not been able to independently verify these reports. So what do we actually know? CNN has geolocated and verified the location of the school. It's here in southern Minab. Footage here shows casualties being taken to a nearby hospital. The school sits about 200 feet from an Iranian Revolutionary Guards base. In this video, you can see smoke rising from that same base in the distance, just after the school was hit, which you can see here. 2012 satellite imagery appears to show that this building may have been connected to that base. But it seems to have been separated since at least 2016, when this image shows the base walled off and a new entrance added. If we look at satellite images from December, we can see dozens of people in the courtyard in what appears to be a handball court. But there's also a lot we don't know. The internet and phone lines are down, so we haven't actually been able to speak to people on the ground to verify the civilian impact. We don't know who fired or the scale of the munitions that were used. Online, some are speculating that it was a failed missile launch by Iran and sharing this photo. but CNN and other experts have geolocated this photo to Zanjan, about 800 miles away. A US Central Command spokesperson has said that they're aware of reports concerning civilian harm resulting from ongoing military actions and are looking into them. The Israeli Defense Forces have said they're checking reports of incidents and are not aware of a US or Israeli strike at this location.
As the U.S. and Israel launch military strikes, President Trump declares the supreme leader of Iran is dead.
Our objective is to defend the American people by eliminating imminent threats from the Iranian regime.
This may be a very significant symbolic and operational blow, but it is not the end of the operation, at least as described by President Trump.
Iran has launched a counterattack on U.S. bases across the Middle East.
The UAE, Kuwait is on alert. Qatar, missiles coming in and missiles being intercepted. There's another one.
The future of the Middle East as America enters into war with Iran. Good evening. The dictator is dead. The Israelis said it, President Trump said it, and now Iranian state television is confirming it. After more than 30 years ruling Iran as a brutal theocracy, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei is no more. That is the biggest news in a day that began with a historic surprise. At around 10 a.m. local time in Iran, in the holy month of Ramadan, the U.S. and Israel launched a large-scale joint attack. The first signs, those plumes of smoke over Tehran. And then about 90 minutes later, President Trump announced a massive and ongoing combat operation aimed at toppling the regime there. He also laid out the history, the revolution 47 years ago that brought the first Ayatollah to power, replacing a secular society, the kind of place where women dressed and dreamed as they wished, with a system of strict religious theocracy. The president noted the decades of mayhem as well, the murder of service members in Beirut, the bombing of the USS Cole, and the arming of proxies that have, as the president put it, soaked the earth with blood and guts. But what now? How wide could this go? And what happens when the shooting ends? Many Iranians are celebrating today's attack, but the regime still stands, announcing a 40-day period of mourning for the late supreme leader. And with the Iranian Revolutionary Guard still firing rockets at Israel, at other American allies, and at U.S. bases throughout the region, vowing in just the past hour, in fact, that, quote, the most ferocious offensive operation in the history of the Iranian armed forces will begin in a few moments. The U.S. military buildup in the region is already the largest in a generation. And President Trump, in a post not long ago, promised that, quote, heavy and pinpoint bombing will continue, quote, uninterrupted throughout the week or as long as necessary. But he is also facing political opposition at home. Democrats characterizing this as an illegal war of choice that endangers U.S. troops and could draw the U.S. into a wider war.
We have breaking news. The president is giving an update on social media about the strikes in Iran. Let's take a listen.
Over the past 36 hours, the United States and its partners have launched Operation Epic Fury, one of the largest, most complex, most overwhelming military offensives the world has ever seen. Nobody's seen anything like it. We have hit hundreds of targets in Iran, including Revolutionary Guard facilities, Iranian air defense systems. Just now it was announced that we knocked out 9 ships plus their naval building, all in a matter of literally minutes. Iran's formerly supreme leader, Ayatollah Khamenei, is dead. This wretched and vile man had the blood of hundreds and even thousands of Americans on his hands and was responsible for the slaughter of countless thousands of innocent people all across many countries. Last night, all over Iran, the voices of the Iranian people could be heard cheering and celebrating in the streets when his death was announced. The entire military command is gone as well, and many of them want to surrender into saving their lives. They want immunity. They're calling by the thousands. Combat operations continue at this time in full force, and they will continue until all of our objectives are achieved. We have very strong objectives. They could have done something 2 weeks ago, but they just couldn't get there. Earlier today, CENTCOM shared the news that 3 U.S. military service members have been killed in action. As one nation, we grieve for the true American patriots who have made the ultimate sacrifice for our nation, even as we continue the righteous mission for which they gave their lives. We pray for the full recovery of the wounded and send our immense love and eternal gratitude to the families of the fallen. And sadly, there will likely be more. Before it ends, that's the way it is. Likely be more, but we'll do everything possible where that won't be the case. But America will avenge their deaths and deliver the most punishing blow to the terrorists who have waged war against basically civilization. They have waged war against civilization itself. Our resolve, and likewise that of Israel, has never been stronger. America is now again the richest, most powerful nation in the world by far. But the only reason we enjoy the quality of life that we do and the freedom and security is we have done things that others are unable to do. But it's because of warriors who are willing to lay down their lives to do battle with our enemies. And they do battle better than anybody. An Iranian regime armed with long-range missiles and nuclear weapons would be a dire threat to every American. We cannot allow a nation that raises terrorist armies to possess such weapons that would allow them to extort the world to their evil will. Not going to let it happen. We're not happening to us, and we're not going to let it happen to others. The United States has the strongest military the world has ever seen. I rebuilt our military in my first term. There's never been a military like we possess. And frankly, there's nobody even close, but we are now using that military for good. We want to have it for good purpose. We're undertaking this massive operation not merely to ensure security for our own time and place, but for our children and their children, just as our ancestors have done for us many, many years ago. This is the duty and the burden of a free people. These actions are right and they are necessary to ensure that Americans will never have to face a radical, bloodthirsty terrorist regime armed with nuclear weapons and lots of threats. For almost 50 years, these wicked extremists have been attacking the United States while chanting the slogan, "Death to America," or "Death to Israel," or both. They are the world's #1 state sponsor of terror. We are the world's greatest and most powerful nation, so we can do something about what they do. These intolerable threats will not continue any longer. I once again urge the Revolutionary Guard, the Iranian military, and police, to lay down your arms and receive full immunity or face certain death. It will be certain death. Won't be pretty. I call upon all Iranian patriots who yearn for freedom to seize this moment, to be brave, be bold, be heroic, and take back your country. America is with you. I made a promise to you, and I fulfilled that promise. The rest will be up to you, but we'll be there to help. Thank you. God bless you to our incredible warriors, and God bless the United States of America. Thank you.
And again, you were just listening to President Trump delivering a message for the first time on social media since those strikes in Iran. We're going to bring in ABC's Selena Wang, who's near Mar-a-Lago. Selena, we just heard the president say that he's hit hundreds of targets, 9 Iran Navy ships and other buildings. He said the Ayatollah is dead, responsible for the slaughter of thousands of people. And most notably, President Trump there said that he is sending our immense love and gratitude to the families of the injured and fallen soldiers. Then he went on to say that there will likely be more. Selena, this is the first time we're hearing from the president since his initial video announcing the strike. What did you make of his message?
Well, first of all, let's just acknowledge that the president made this announcement through his own social media account on a video. He did not invite the press pool to witness those remarks and to ask questions, as the president often does. And also worth pointing out that there were no Trump administration officials on the Sunday shows this weekend. So there have been really no opportunities for groups of reporters and journalists to press this administration about this operation. And some notable points from the president there. As you mentioned, this is the first time the president is publicly addressing the death of 3 American service members as part of this Operation Epic Fury. And the president saying that, quote, there will likely be more U.S. casualties. Remember, this is a president who had campaigned on ending these wars in the Middle East, who not launching new ones and bringing troops back home. But right after these remarks, right after the strikes, I remember the president had already warned Americans that there could be U.S. casualties. Also important there, the president said that combat operations continue at this time in full force, and they will continue until all of our objectives are achieved. Again, this is an open-ended commitment. Unclear if this is going to be days, weeks, or even months. The president also saying that the entire military command is gone. Many of them want to surrender. They're calling by the thousands.
All right, Selena Wang, thank you. I know you'll be up on this. Thank you for that update.
All praise to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai. Double honor to the apostles and elders of GMS. Shalom to the hopefully elect. All right. Oh, excuse me. This video is going to be entitled America, Israel, and Iran. War with Iran. Something like that. All right. And let me give a disclaimer here. Right. I just gave you a bunch of news from different sources. I can't confirm any of it. I can't deny any of it. All right. It's the news that's going on. And we're giving you a report of it, of everything that's happening. Certain stuff is being said, claims are being made. And like I said, I can't confirm it. I can't deny it. We don't know exactly what's what. We're just like you out there. We have to go with what is being told to us. So to the best of our ability, we do give you the truth of what's going on in the world, and we give you the absolute truth of what's going on in the Holy Bible. So it's being reported, and Israel said it first, then America said it, and then afterwards, the Iranian news is reporting that this guy, Ayatollah Khamenei, is dead. Okay, the supreme leader of Iran. But also, along with that, supposedly 40 of 40 of Iran's top leaders are also dead. All right, with them. And there's a few of the faces right here. And again, we can't say if if it's true or not, right? The Minister of Defense, the Chief of Military Bureau of Supreme Leader's Advisor for Security Affairs, Chief of the IRGC, Chairman of the SPND, former Chairman of the SPND, Head of Intelligence of Khatam, whatever. I don't know all these names. I don't know their significance because I'm not that familiar with Iran or their military or what they do. All right. It's also being reported. Here's another, image that I got from these different men. But that's just the top. There's supposedly 40 of them, along with the supreme leader, have been killed. Also, it's been reported, but also denied by Iran. Hasn't been confirmed yet, but the former president of Iran, Mahmoud Ahmadinejad, which I'm more familiar with him than any of these new people or even that Ayatollah guy, because Ahmadinejad used to go, he actually been on the news talking, whatever. He had a lot to say. And we really thought back when he was the president that we would see America and Israel go to war with them back then. But it never happened. So this guy was the former president, and supposedly he has also been killed. Now, I don't know if that's true. I saw a report from Indian news media said that he was killed. Then they turned around and said that Iran was denying that he was killed. But if you never see him again, then you know that he was dead. All right. There's also reports that 40 schoolgirls were killed in Iran after that Israel-U.S. strike. You saw that in the news as well, in the reports that I gave. And I was able to find one from CNN that actually said that. But as always, whenever something like that happens, Israel and America will say they don't know anything about it. Right? Iran will say it was America and the U.S. You had other images coming out saying that it was a failed missile launch from Iran that backfired and killed them girls. All right, or killed, because really they say 40 girls, but then we come to find out hundreds of students have been injured and wounded, but 40 girls died. So we don't know. Okay, we don't know what's propaganda. We don't know what's made up. If it really happened. Also not shown in the footage, there's multiple attacks on American forces, right? American bases in Bahrain, I believe Qatar. I know Bahrain was one that was supposed to be, but there's also missiles being launched at Qatar, Oman, and Dubai. And a lot of, you got certain Americans that's stuck in Dubai. And in these places that are being launched, also missiles are being launched into Israel, going over Lebanese airspace, I believe. Don't quote me on that, but I know that Israel is receiving bombs and some of them they're shooting down, but some are getting through, supposedly. So there's a lot going on. We can't really tell you for sure because we're not there, right? And even when you do see the news, you don't really know what's true and what's not true. You don't know if that's some old footage they showing you or something new. I've seen footage of this guy Khomeini supposed to be dead, right? I seen footage of people in the streets in Iran. Some of the people was mourning and crying, dressed in all black, big, large crowds. Other images, like people were celebrating the dude dying. So really, it seems like the country of Iran is kind of split, Some of them is glad he's dead, some of them are not. And we're going to say also, for you people out there to watch our videos that don't really follow the truth, you don't know the truth, we just telling everybody that we don't give a shit about Iran. We don't care about them. We ain't on their side. We're not Islamic. We don't give a fuck about Islam. We don't care about that shit. It's another false doctrine, right? That dude, Ayatollah Khomeini, he ain't nothing to us. We don't give a damn about none of that. He just as phony as a damn pope or one of these false prophets in Babylon the Great, right? All of them are nothing but the gods of the nations are idols. Okay, we don't give a fuck about no Islamic Republic, they nation, what they stand for, none of that. We ain't with them, but we also not with the evil that goes on over here. We don't have a dog in the fight. Our focus is end time prophecy. And we're simply here to give you the news, to give you the reports, to tell you what's going on as best we can from what they're saying. But we can tell you definitively what the scriptures say. And the scriptures talk about Iran or Persia being mentioned among those end time nations that fight in World War III. Right? They're going to be a key player. Let's go over there now and look at it if we can. All right. Ezekiel 38, to be exact. So this is Ezekiel 38. And I'm going to jump in here, verse 4. You know what? I got to read up a little bit. I'm sorry. I'll start at 1. Excuse me. This is Ezekiel 38, verse 1. It says, "And the word of the Lord came unto me, saying, Son of man, set thy face against Gog, the land of Magog, the chief prince of Meshech and Tubal, and prophesy against him. And say, Thus saith the Lord power, behold, I am against thee, O Gog, the chief prince of Meshech and Tubal. And I will turn thee back and put hooks into thy jaws, and I will bring thee forth, and all thine army, horses and horsemen, all of them clothed with all sorts of armor, even a great company with bucklers and shields, all of them handling swords. Persia, Ethiopia, and Libya with them, all of them with shield and helmet." All right, so we know that this end time force of Gog, which is Russia, okay, and It mentions also Persia, right, which would be Iran. Okay, the Iranian forces, Ethiopia, you know who Ethiopia is, and Libya with them, all of them with shield and helmet. You see, so they are mentioned there. Gomer and all his bands, the house of Togarmah of the north quarters, and all his bands and many people with thee. Be thou prepared, and prepare for thyself, thou and all thy company that are assembled unto thee, and be thou a guard unto them. See, so you're gonna have you're gonna have armies of allied forces from these different nations. Russia is supposed to be a big brother to these other nations. Okay, Russia is supposed to be, they're represented by Gog, the chief prince of Meshach and Tubal. That's that end time force of and you also got Persia, Ethiopia, and Libya, among others. Turkey is also mentioned in there, but we'll see, right? We're gonna see. Now I'm just curious to see what they say. Just bear with me here. Gomer. Let's see what they say Gomer is. Just to see what they say. So they don't really give a modern day explanation for what Gomer is, which we know what it is, but I'm just wondering what they say. Son of Gomer, probably the area known as Armenia. But we believe that Togarmah is Turkey, the Turks, which is also an Islamic nation, and they got a powerful army, and we believe they also possess nukes. Now America ain't gonna admit that. So continuing on, I just want to mention again that we do not, just like when Israel and these Palestinians get into it, we don't have a dog in the fight. All right, our focus is end time prophecy, and we just here to give you the news and to give you the prophecy. Now, I've been kind of holding back on doing a video about all of this, as most of the elders and the big brothers on the chat, it's been discussed among brothers, it's been discussed quite a bit about all the conflict that's going on. But due to the fact that we can't really verify anything being told to us, a lot of brothers are holding back from doing videos about it because we're tired of the lies. We don't want to put false info out there. So a lot of brothers are holding back from doing videos on it because it's so hard to verify what's being told to us. They'd be stupid. We make videos saying this guy Khomeini is dead. Then he pop up a year from now, or a week from now talking and saying all this stuff. But the Iranians, they have confirmed that the guy is dead. All right, they confirmed that he's dead. So, I don't know. I mean, among the Americans, they're not really reporting any losses. Oh, it's been reported that 3 American troops died so far. All right. And you got Jake that's, being involved in it, too, making songs about Iran and doing all this. Just so much going on, So we ain't going to try to, tell you but so much, what we know. Now, also, to be mentioned, I got this also from one of the news reports that says Supreme Leader's daughter, grandson, and son-in-law killed by first U.S.-Israel strikes, Iranian media. So the report, not only did this guy get killed, but they said his whole family, but these are the ones that they mentioned: his daughter, his grandson, his son-in-law, all killed. So I don't know, I don't know. His daughter, his grandson. So really that's like his family. Sounds like a daughter and her son, a daughter and her husband and their son all died. Now, at the end of the day, I don't know why, if you were a high-profile leader like that and you know that America and Israel after you, would you have your whole family near you where you live at? Because you know that might happen, but you just don't know with these people, right? We don't know nothing about Iran. We ain't never been over there. At the end of the day, we don't know if these people are extremists like we hear, or if they just people that, happen to be against these other people. We don't really know. All we can do is give you what, Yahweh Bashim Yahushua has given us. And one thing we know for sure is what's in the scriptures, as we just read Ezekiel 38. And I just read that not to try to go into the big, because really that's more dealing with World War III. Because we believe this is the beginning of World War III, but we don't, this all could go away in a week or two. They might just stop firing missiles and shooting back and forth, and then it could go cold again. So we don't know, but we know at the meantime, Russia and Ukraine still fighting. and Russia is supposed to be an ally of Iran. So this could wind up drawing them into the conflict, as well as other nations. We're looking forward to it, and we know that's supposed to happen. We know that the Lord is gathering all nations to get ready to bring them into the Valley of Jehoshaphat, or get ready to bring them into that final conflict. Let's go over there. And this is all happening because of what really in the background are the Hebrew Israelites, right? What happened in Israel and what's been happening to us is in the background of all of this. The reason why all this conflict is playing out, and ultimately World War III will be fought, is for the sake of the Israelites, the true Israelites. This is Joel 3 verse 1. It says, "For behold, in those days and in that time, when I shall bring again the captivity of Judah and Jerusalem." What is the Heavenly Father saying here? He's saying that he's going to bring an end to the captivity. This is the NLT. "At the time of those events, says the Lord, when I restore the prosperity of Judah and Jerusalem." You see? So he's going to end the captivity. But before it happens, these things got to come to pass. He says here, "I will also gather all nations and will bring them down into the valley of Jehoshaphat," or Jehoshaphat, which really is Yehoshaphat, which translates to the Most High's decision or the Most High's judgment, because Shaphat is judgment, right? Yahweh is the name of the Heavenly Father. It says, "And will bring them down into the valley of Jehoshaphat, and will plead with them there for my people and for my heritage Israel, whom they have scattered among the nations and parted my land." You see? So let's go to Ezekiel 35 to see who parted the Most High's land. Ezekiel 36, not 35, excuse me. So it says, "Therefore, thus said the Lord of power, surely in the fire of my jealousy have I spoken against the residue of the heathen, and against all Idumea, which have appointed my land into their possession with the joy of all their heart, with despiteful minds, to cast it out for a prey." So because of what the Edomites did, that's why all these nations are going to go into World War III. It says, verse 3, "And they have cast lots for my people, and have given a boy for an harlot, and sold a girl for wine, that they might drink. Yeah, and what have ye to do with me, Tyre, O Tyre and Zidon, and all the coasts of Palestine? Will you render me a recompense? And if you recompense me swiftly and speedily, will I return your recompense upon your own head?" So the Lord is saying he's going to pay back all these different nations that has something to do with the captivity of the Israelites. Now you have Tyre and Zidon, which go back to who? Back to Hamites. And you go into this Zidon, that's the Zidonians. Let's go there and look at it now. Sidon, right? Over here. Look down here. Sidon, the name of a son of Canaan, and of a place in Palestine. Sidon or Zidon. So when you deal with this, these are Hamites. So why is the Lord mentioning Hamites when he talk about the captivity of his people, the Israelites? If the people in Israel now supposed to be the people, when did you ever see Hamites selling them into slavery? You never seen that. Right? So what does that mean? That means the people that the Hamites sold into slavery, those are the Israelites. It says, "Because you have taken my silver and my gold, and have carried into your temples my goodly pleasant things. The children also of Judah and the children of Jerusalem have ye sold unto the Grecians, that ye might remove them far from their border." What Grecians? Not the ancient Grecians, but the Grecians, the people that took the land from the Grecians, put the name on themselves, which was Esau, Edom, the Edomites. It says, "Behold, I will raise them out of the place where ye have sold them, and will return your recompense upon your own head." And what's happening now? The Most High is raising up the Israelites out of the place where they were sold, over in Babylon the Great and all nations. That's why you have the great awakening of the Israelites. That's why what's going on with all of this is important to us. Right? We're not on any of their sides. We don't care. Because Lord willing, they blow each other up. And who will emerge from all of that? The Israelites. Right? Yahweh being the ultimate ruler of the whole earth, of everything, all galaxies and all of that. Right? All people, nations, tongues, kingdoms, all of that. King of kings, Lord of lords. And under him, all his elect. You see? His 144,000 and the rest of the elect. King David first, the rest of the 144,000 and all of the elect. It says, and I will sell your sons and your daughters into the hands of the children of Judah, and they shall sell them to the Sabians, to a people far off, for the Lord has spoken it. So that's why this is of utmost importance to us. Now it gets into World War III. Proclaim ye this, verse 9, among the Gentiles. Prepare war, wake up the mighty men. Let all the men of war draw near, let them come up. So the Lord is calling all these nations. It's got to start someplace, and it's got to be the main, the main nation's going to get it started now with all this death, right? 40 schoolgirls, Ahmadinejad, these 40 the 40 leaders, right? The whole military command and the supreme leader. Something is bound to happen. Not only will these people get mad, but there's other Islamic nations may also have something to say. And Trump made sure to warn that, with these 3 troops dying, that there's also going to be there's likely to be other losses in the military, and you American people, you ain't really ready for that. You don't even look over here at home. These people don't want to go into war. These military, they don't want to fight. They don't want to go into a war. They're not interested in dying. They're not that you should be, but these people nowadays, they're a different breed. It's not like back during Vietnam or World War I and II. These Americans, they say they're patriotic, but they ain't that damn patriotic. And you keep hearing people talk about, why won't Trump send his son to be a part of? Is he even in the military? How ridiculous is that? This man ain't about to send his son to fight in that shit. But y'all saying that because why? Because you're useless eaters. And we don't know what this shit could spring forth. This could also spring forth crazy gas prices, a cashless society. They're predicting bank runs, civil war and unrest could break forth. We told y'all the draft was coming. Nobody don't want to listen till the shit is too late. But we've been prophesying about it. By the time you people out there really realize how much trouble you in, it's going to be too goddamn late. The famine of the word going to be already set in, because we basically at the end of our prophesying, Lord willing. We can't wait. We can't wait until the Lord bring forth more judgment, man. Let's just read this and finish it off. So the Lord is calling all nations to come up to the valley of Jehoshaphat. And he's going to draw different nations into the war different ways. Beat your plowshares in the swords and your pruning hooks in the spears. Let the weak say, I am strong. Why is the weak going to say they're strong? Because they also possess nuclear capabilities now. And so one of the big fallout points is the fact that Iran they've been pursuing having nuclear weapons. In the West, Israel and America and Europe don't want them having nuclear weapons. But you can't stop nations from doing what they want to do. But this should show you who's in authority. We told you the Roman Empire is the last empire that's supposed to rule before the Lord comes back. And he's actually going to come back and take them out of power. You people been trying to deny it. You can't deny it. You can't deny it. And in the scriptures, it says that the real Israel was going to have no might in their hand. They're not going to be able to go and attack nations with military power. How you got a military, you under the curses? I mean, it's all too easy, but this is wonderful. This is wonderful stuff. It's been a great weekend. It started out good. It's ending good. Go back to work tomorrow with fire in our bellies. Waiting to see what more gonna happen. The mark of the beast could wind up coming through this. You see? And really, at the end of the day, notice when all this is happening, it's a gigantic distraction from the E-files, right? From the E-list. You see? But it is what it is. Verse 11, Joel 3:11, assemble yourselves and come, all ye heathen, and gather yourselves round about, thither cause thy mighty ones to come down, O Lord, right? So all the heathen nations are going to be gathered together. The mighty ones are the angels of the Lord. They're gathering these nations to fight. It says, let the heathen be wakened and come up to the valley of Jehoshaphat, for there will I sit to judge all the heathen round about. It is a judgment on all nations. You're being called up to come fight. The Lord is going to make you fight. You can't get out of this. You can try all you want to. Diplomacy is going to fail at some point. I'm not sitting here saying that This is definitely going to spark the all-out World War III. Because like I said, shit could go back to normal a little bit. But eventually, there's going to be a World War III. All nations going to be part of it. And as a result of World War III, Russia going to be involved as well. And they're going to shoot them nukes over here. We've been telling y'all that for a long time. But you'll either find out, you'll listen now or you'll listen later. It says, put ye in the sickle, for the harvest is ripe. Now, if you read the scriptures, this says the harvest is the end of the world, right? Let's go there. Matthew 13. This shows you that the end is going to come through World War III. Matthew 13. What does it say, brother? Let's find it. When he breaks down the parable of the wheat, of the seed in the sower. Matthew 13 and around about 37. I just jump in here, verse 38, just to get the point. It says, the field is the world, the good seed are the children of the kingdom, but the tares are the children of the wicked one. The enemy that sowed them is the devil. The harvest is the end of the world, and the reapers are the angels. See that? As therefore the tares are gathered and burned in the fire, so shall it be in the end of this world. So the harvest is the end of the world. So here when it says in Joel 3:13, put ye in the sickle, for the harvest is ripe, that's the end of the world. And you could also read about that in Revelation 14. Let's go there. Revelation 14 and 14. And I looked, and behold, a white cloud, and upon the white cloud one sat like unto the Son of Man, having on his head a golden crown, and in his hand a sharp sickle. And another angel came out of the temple, crying with a loud voice to him that sat on the cloud, thrust in thy sickle and reap, for the time is come for thee to reap, for the harvest of the earth is ripe. So Joel 3, what we read about, is going to lead to that great harvest. And what's the Lord going to do in the harvest? He's going to take his sickle. He's going to bring forth a judgment, but the earth is going to be reaped, right? He's going to take up the wheat into his barn, which is the elect of the Israelites, and then he's going to burn the field. Okay, he's going to also stomp out wine in the winepress. He's going to bring forth that great judgment. Again, Joel 3:13 says, put ye in the sickle, for the harvest is ripe. Come get you down, for the press is full, the fats overflow, for their wickedness is great. What's the Lord going to do with this press is full? He's going to stomp out the grapes and bring which is a great judgment. Multitudes in the valley of decision, for the day of the Lord is near in the valley of decision. And if we go back to Revelation 14, so all nations being gathered over there. See? So really you can read, we may come back and do another let's go ahead and read it. Revelation 14 and 16. And he that sat on the cloud, let's go back to 14. And I looked, and behold, a white cloud, and upon the cloud one sat like unto the Son of Man. The Son of Man is the Savior, Yahushua. The great white cloud is his gigantic chariot, having on his head a golden crown, and in his hand a sharp sickle. And another angel came out of the temple, crying with a loud voice to him that sat on the cloud, thrust in thy sickle and reap, for the time is come for thee to reap, for the harvest of the earth is ripe. Right, time to save the elect, right? It says that he that sat on the cloud thrust in his sickle on the earth, and the earth was reaped. The elect were beamed up all over the earth. And another angel came out of the temple which is in heaven, he also having a sharp sickle. And another angel came out from the altar which had power over fire, and he cried with a loud cry to him that had the sharp sickle, saying, thrust in thy sickle and gather the clusters of the vine of the earth, for her grapes are fully ripe. And the angel thrust in his sickle into the earth, and gathered the vine of the earth, and cast it into the great winepress of the wrath of the Most High, which is what? Judgment going out all over the earth. And the winepress was trodden without the city. If you're without the city, where are you? You're not part of New Jerusalem, because that's the city. And blood came out of the winepress, which is everybody else is not of the elect. And blood came out of the winepress, even unto the horse bridles, by the space of 1,600 furlongs. So it's going to be a gigantic, great judgment that comes forth that's going to cause major bloodshed all over the earth. Not everybody's going to die, you know, but the Lord going to send the chariots. The chariots going to zap a lot of people. A lot of people going to die in war. When the nukes come to America, they're going to destroy this whole place and kill everybody here that's not of the elect. The elect are going to be beamed up into the chariots. Other people going to die all over the earth. We're getting missile attacks and nukes being shot and, you know, natural disasters and all kinds of different shit. But ultimately, a lot of everybody that's not in America, if you're not an Israelite, you're going to go into slavery. There's going to be a great judgment. Or you're going to die first. Then you're going to be born as slaves in the kingdom. So we're looking forward to it. This is good news. But like we said, don't get too high, you know, because it's still yet a ways off. Because look, we still haven't not seen the implementation of the mark of the beast yet. So that's a key prophecy we're waiting to see. But hey, this is good that we're going somewhere. We're moving forward, right? We're moving forward. And this is what we wanted. So, you know, we're glad to see it. We're glad to see something happening. Now, all you people that's been talking your shit, you should be getting nervous by now. But if you're too damn stupid to get nervous, don't worry. There'll be plenty of time for you to get nervous very shortly. All praise to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai. Shalom.